Today I'm getting on with various bits and pieces with the MX5 because, to be honest, it's kind of pissing me off that there hasn't been much progress lately, just because it's getting to the stage where there's less and less stuff I can just do and more stuff I need to rely on people to do. I can't do anything else to the inside yet until the rear roll bar and stuff turns up, because the rear roll bar and the door bars are going to dictate how well, if at all, the seats will fit. And it's entirely possible that I'm going to have to fucking totally redo how the seats are going to be mounted depending on that. So I might have undone all the work I've already done, but yeah, we'll see about that bit. I fucking hope not. But until it turns up, it's been a few weeks, but supposedly on its way. Yeah, until that's done, nothing else I can do about that. Subframe, I finally got some 4 new bolts for the main front 4 subframe bolts that I don't know what I did with the originals, but all sorted now, just put under there, hence the bar down there, and done it all, so subframe's all up together. At the back, one of the weak points on these cars, and you'll hardly be able to see because it's hardly in. At the back, one of the weak points of these cars, and it was deliberate by Mazda, was they made this arm here with a little notch in it, just there, so in the event of a crash, that would break as part of like the crash safety whatever. But obviously that means that's the weak point when you put a load of power through it and it snaps the arms. I didn't know about this until, well, the other day. So because it's never happened to me before. I've broke diffs on these, but never broke an arm. And I only realised the other day that people basically plate up the arms on these to make them strong, and then they're pretty bulletproof. So today I had a look and was thinking, right, now take the whole diff thing off to reinforce it. But now looking at that engineered in weak point and the amount of grief it would be to take it all off again, I'm not going to bother. I am going to let it break first, because it makes no difference. When it breaks, I get another one. They're not rare or expensive, so I'll let it break first. And when it does, then I'll, reinforce it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Another thing I wanted to do, and again, this is something I've never ever done before on MX5s, despite having half a dozen of them. So again, this should be one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it things again. But the more, it's the influence of the internet, unfortunately. I see everybody fitting all these various different fucking braces to the chassis and the suspension is meant to really help. And although I think a lot of them are bullshit, yeah, and they add weight too, I can imagine some of them helps. And there's a few. There's one that goes, I mean, on later MX5s there is a bar here standard, but this early one hasn't even got provision for it. They didn't come with it. But this one did come with some kind of weird bar. It was already bent, so I can't see how it would do any good from there to there. And you can buy loads of aftermarket ones which sort of mount to like there, to the diff and all sorts of shit. And again, this is something I was considering doing, but then I thought about it again. It's like, hang on a minute. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I can fit these after. Because the thing is, I ain't got much money, so I don't really want to spend money doing it when I don't need to. It's the same at the front. There's these things they call frog arms, which sort of brace the sort of in front of the doors to the front wing chassis area, which is meant to be a massive improvement on these. But I've never done it before, and yeah, it sounds like it would help, but it can wait. I would like to do it, but I don't want to spend the money for nothing. And a lot of people say about you get what they call frame rail reinforcements, which is just the chassis rails on these are weak as shit, and you can buy these like stainless reinforcement things which bolt sort of around it all the way front to back, and again that's meant to really help. But I've never even heard of them until this car, because on my normal other MX5s I always sort of they were always low budget affairs, you know what I mean, but they still handle mint. So and this one, the chassis rails are pretty good nick, and also the gearbox cross member is now between them, so there's a lot more support than the standard one, which has no gearbox cross member. So again, I don't know if it's needed, but I could fit it after. It just I'm worrying about all this stuff that I can't really afford at the moment. I need to stop worrying about it and just get on with the fundamentals, because it's pissing me off not being on the road. I want to use this thing and I want to finish a fucking Corolla, but there's no room to until this is done. So yeah, what I'm going to have a look at now is see if I can do that third gearbox modification myself as well, because I just want it in the I just want to do it. So yeah, I'm no expert fabricator, but I reckon I can make it up. Let's have a look. Right, top of the box is off, and this confusing pile of gears is what we see inside. In all honesty, I'm far from a gearbox expert, but it don't look bad. Looks surprisingly fresh, better than that one, which was in my Volvo until it broke, and that was honestly fine until I crunched the gears. But this one, at first glance, looks okay. Nothing's missing. I thought there was a tooth missing there, but it's not. There's one off each side. It's meant to be like that. So, but yeah, it looks really clean. Yeah, look, it don't look bad. I mean, you know more about gearboxes than me, a lot more. But at first glance, I can't see anything wrong with it.
It's good.
It looks fairly clean.
This looks right.
Yeah, I was surprising. I think maybe it's a later one, because it looks tidier than that one did when we took it apart, even without the damage. Right, I have looked at how it's done, and as I thought, it's fairly easy. How it's done is you copy this feature from a 2001 issue of Bilsport magazine, which is Swedish if I remember right. Yeah, Bilsport, November 2001, I think that is. And yeah, tells you how to do it. I've got an English translation, but the long and short of it is we have to take a few bits off this one, the bearing, blah blah blah, take this bit down until you get to the third gear, which is just down there, and then you take another little bearing thing off, and then you weld this bit, which is kind of like this, weld that to the bit underneath it so it doesn't move. It looks like two gears, but it turns out it's not. It's like a stop ring or something. So looking at it, I'm no gearbox expert, but looking at it, I reckon we have to maybe unbolt that to get this out, pull that whole bit out. It's just one bolt there, that bit pull out, and then we're at it. It just occurred to me that I can use this broken mock-up gearbox to see the best way of taking that one apart without worrying about getting it wrong. So I'm going to take this one apart and have a look. It looks really simple, but I just don't want to take the risk on what looks like a good box when I can easily just look at this one. This one certainly don't smell as good. Whew. This one smells of old gearbox oil. Also, I noticed things are different. See that? It's got the pieces. They're like 3 sections with springs. This hasn't got that. It's like a one piece. I wonder what that means. One's better than the other. Well, one must be better than the other. There is an early and late version. I'm gonna need to look at my phone to learn that bit. I will look at that in a minute. But I think apart from that, we just got to start taking off bits off this middle shaft until we get to the 3rd gear bit. But first, I want to find out what that is. So I'm going to turn this off again and look at my phone. Just had a look online and just watched about half of a random Swedish video I found on YouTube. Well, I wasn't even looking for it on YouTube. I just randomly saw a link to it off a different page. And it was a Swedish 30-minute video of somebody messing with these boxes. I think doing the stop ring thing like we're doing. And you know, I said this looks different. The only reason it's bloody different, I realise, is because the brass synchro, which is there for like, that's 3rd gear, is totally missing on this one. Where it is, I don't know. Did it explode and it's all in the box somewhere? I ain't got a clue. But it's not on there, which is weird because the car, well, it lost 3rd, so maybe that's what happened when it broke. But yeah, it's missing. But now from watching that video, I've kind of learned how you take it all apart, and it is relatively easy. So I'm going to still practice on this one to see. Right, you've missed a bit of the action on this video. So now we're down to the thing. This whole 3rd gear weakness thing is that. That is the stop ring for 3rd gear. And as standard, it's meant to sit on there. It's just press fit. And that is where all those chunks of teeth were. They're not really gear teeth. They're just chunks off the bit that's missing. The bit that's fell down. That should be there. And it's normally welded in place. So yeah, this gearbox is fine. I don't know whether to just run this one now, since we've already got it apart. Don't know anymore. This gearbox was the one that was originally in my 940 and didn't have a problem until that happened. So yeah, next thing to do is get this off, which looks difficult but it's meant to be not. That there is a slot and it just opens up and you can pull it off. It looks like, oh shit, how are you getting that off? But no, it's meant to just come off like that. So I'm going to do that now, but I need 2 hands, so I'm going to turn this back off again. Yeah, look, this is how this thing works. Just got a little slot, it's plastic, so it comes off the shaft, no problem at all. So yeah, now you can see the bit, that's the problem. That should be on there, and it ain't. But yeah, you can make it go back on there. Not a problem. But yeah, this gearbox is okay. So maybe we should just use this one and keep that one as a spare. Right, fuck it. I'm going to do this 3rd gear mod myself with the old MIG welder. Most Scandinavians MIG it. It's not like it matters to be tigged or anything, and you can do it in situ like this as well, which is the Scandinavian bodgy way of doing it, but it works. Basically, you fill the gearbox up to the top with just whatever shitty old oil, just to, because it won't catch fire, and it just reduces the odds of any splatter sticking to anything. And basically all I need to do is, let me put a bit of light on the situation. This is the 3rd gear stop ring. As standard, it's attached, well, like push fit, like that. but as you might be able to see, the teeth that hold it in place have snapped clean off, and that's because it's a bit of a stupid design. So what they do is literally weld this in place. And I mean, technically this could be a bad thing, because it's not like it'd be impossible to break like this, because once you weld things it gets a bit more brittle, and if this gets brittle and breaks, big bits come off and chunks go into the engine, but into the gearbox I mean. But when they've already broken off like this one, it gives it a second chance of life. And also, like I experienced when the bits did break off for this, they haven't caused any damage, they just got caught in the you know, caught by the magnet. So it's worth doing in my opinion. So I'm gonna give it a go. If you remove this whole bit, you can weld it from underneath, which is kind of better, but that means dismantling the old box, whereas this way you can do it in situ with only minor bits dismantled. So I'm gonna give it a go. Well, that was pretty easy. I just welded between the teeth. Hopefully that'll work. That's the third gear mod all done in situ. Everything seems fine. I've basically degreased, well, I tipped all the oil out, then used shitloads of brake cleaner to sort of turn the rest of the oil at the bottom into just practically water, and then used a magnet, like a long thin magnet, and poked around, getting as much bits and pieces and spatter and swarf and whatever out as I can. Now nothing else is coming out. And then the main thing you got to worry about, well, is this thing, this bit here is a bearing face. So you got to be careful that your welds don't go high enough, too high, that it basically stops the bearing going back on. I'll show you the bearing. This is the bearing. It's in a plastic cage, and it's got a split in the middle, look, so you can slip it on. And after I'd done it, I thought, oh shit, I hope this don't have to be completely flush, or yeah, that's not good news. But then no, not really, it just has to be near as damn it. And to be honest, it's not a big deal, because you have to clean all this out anyway. There was one little bit, I think on that bit just there, I can't remember now, that was sticking up a little bit too much, preventing the bearing from seating properly. So I just got the old Dremel out and bzzzt, and made it, you know, brought it down a bit, because yeah, that's going to create tiny bits of dust and grit, but this needs cleaning out properly anyway, so it makes no fucking difference. So obviously try and avoid needing to do much, but if you have to do a little bit of cleaning up to make it right, so what? So yeah, that's all done. Pretty pleased with that. I put the bearing on and tried, and it goes on there and turns freely, so that's not an issue. The only thing I did notice, which never happened to me before when taking it off and so on, is the actual races bits on the little metal wheels, whatever you want to call them, on the bearing. A couple of them, 3 of them, fell out. It's like, oh shit. Turns out they like clip in, but that's not a problem. Just do a bit of magnet fishing and the brake cleaner and oil, and got all 3 of them out in a couple of minutes. Couldn't see them, you just dab around till you find the fuckers. So yeah, that's done, which means this once broken gearbox should now be fully working again. I just now need to reassemble it, if I can remember how, and job done. Just putting the gearbox back together, and I've kind of got stuck where I am at the moment, because like an idiot I've made a mistake. Not a mistake that's a big deal, but it leaves me stuck at the moment. Basically, I don't know why you can see, but you got the teeth here. This here is where the gear selector meshes with it, and that's the synchro, and that's a bit underneath. And the thing is, if I remember right, those teeth are meant to match up with those teeth, and like an idiot I've done it literally one tooth out, I think it is, so they're not in line. So basically I got to take this back off and move it one more tooth and put it back again, and it'll be the second time I've need to do that, because I already did it once where I weren't paying attention when I was pushing this on and didn't line up the synchro ring in the right position. So, but that was easy to take off because it's only halfway on. Now it's all the way on, and these things are bastards to get on. They're real tight fit, and my puller, which is a two-legged one, won't grab underneath the teeth. I managed it before, but I can't do it this time. So I need a 3-prong one really, so it will grab in the 3 holes, because they've got like an indent on them, and I presume that's how it was intended to be removed, you know, originally. But I ain't got one, so I think that's me stopped for tonight until I can borrow one. I'm still in 2 minds what box to use, because knowing how these work and how these break, I don't know if like it matters if I put this one in, or just run, say, this one for example, and when it breaks fix it. Because the thing is, this one's super fresh, and it's a later one with that synchro on the top, which this one hasn't got, which I don't know what it's meant to do, to be honest. But earlier ones didn't have it, later ones did. That's supposedly an improvement. Improvement how, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's a minefield with this stuff, because the UK people don't seem to know. The Scandinavians, it's harder to get info out of them, because obviously they don't speak our language, so you can't just search easily. Although most of them speak English, naturally they will write in Swedish or Norwegian or Finnish or whatever on their own websites, so you can't just Google it. So yeah, I still think I'll probably put this one in, because I've already welded 3rd gear, so it should be, you know, pretty good. And then maybe run that one whenever, if and when this one breaks, because this one looks good as well. This one looks super fresh, that's the difference. This one, it's alright, but it was in my Volvo and it took a hell of a kicking in that. So it's not a perfect box, and obviously it broke. But what broke, I fixed now, so that isn't an issue. And the teeth and everything on the gears look good, so I don't know. But yeah, I think that's me done for this video. I still got lots and lots of things to do, but I can't do it yet. I also need to do the oil return on that sump, which I might do myself as well. And that's the only thing that needs doing before the engine goes in, because you can't take the sump off once it's in the car. Not on this one. So I need to do that. Then it's ready to fucking rock and roll. Don't think I'll be bothered doing it tonight though, in all honesty. Might just go home. I don't know. Anyway, I'm off. See you later.